I think when I was an undergraduate, I had a vague sense that economics was a kind of apex social science that could really inform us and give us tools about how to study the world. Um, I still believe that that's true. Of course, with age, you get tempered in these kinds of things. I'm a game theorist by training, which means when I was in graduate school, I received training outside the usual paradigm of supply and demand, where people take prices as given. What I now study is strategic competition as it pertains to individuals, firms, organizations. Some of my recent research projects have sort of deviated a bit from pure politics to think about issues of climate change and carbon pricing. And the facet that I'm particularly interested in is this idea of strategic competition between countries for carbon emissions in the presence of tipping points. The idea of a tipping point, as climate scientists model it, is that there's some sort of threshold below which economies can reach this kind of low-end steady state if the greenhouse gas concentrations reach a high enough threshold. And so when that happens, there's a natural economic question, and that is, how does that affect countries' desire to increase or decrease their carbon emissions? The natural thought is that as we approach the cliff, we become more cautious. That as we reach this tipping point, countries would naturally pull back or decelerate their rate of emissions. What we've shown is that countries may actually accelerate their rate of carbon emissions if they expect tipping to occur. And so those are some of the sort of surprising outcomes or conclusions one can reach by using basic economic intuition, game theoretic trade-offs in examining the problem. I think with PhD students, you get to reach them on a much more personal level. There's much more one-on-one contact, much more give and take. And graduate students have the opportunity to be persistent in a way that undergraduates may not be. That is, or it may not be when you're working with large groups. They're acquiring a lot of technical expertise along the way, and you can communicate with them at a level of sophistication that you might not be able to with undergraduates who haven't yet acquired the technical and mathematical tools, the tools of modeling. And so that one-on-one interaction with that technical level of expertise, I think, is a very rewarding thing for me. My advice to PhD students would be to follow your gut instinct. You're going to get a lot of advice from a lot of people. And the most valuable asset you're going to have in any PhD program is your fellow students. So if you're able to connect with prospective students, right, talk to them, see what they're about. You're going to learn a lot more from your fellow students than you will from us faculty, to be quite honest. And interesting thing is that the people that you meet in graduate school, you'll know for the rest of your life. They'll be your best friends. They'll be the best man at your wedding, or they'll be a friend for life that you'll interact with every day, right? That was certainly true for me. And so you really want to look to a place where the interactions are collegial, where people get along, and where you think you can really learn a lot from your fellow students. Georgetown economics is like the Goldilocks story. We have, I think, a fairly good balance between breadth and depth. The macroeconomists here talk to the microeconomists. The labor economists talk to the theorists. And so the idea that people are talking to one another, but yet at the same time still have enough depth and expertise to give good advice, I think that's a strength we have.